Hello everybody, Kaiwaza with you. Welcome back to my channel and another edition of the Cheap Lounge. So it's happy hour. Order yourself up a cocktail, happy hour cocktail. Sit down here with me, and here on Cheap Lounge we discuss cheap records, which is to say these are all like basically dollar bin records in the lounge or easy listening mood music, muzak, elevator music, call it what you will, category. And then these are all records that I've just recently uploaded onto Moody Mood Music, my online vintage vinyl radio station. That's linked below on live365.com, and you can check that out any time of day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Okay. Let's look at the records in this edition. Somebody named Steve Alaimo. I have trouble pronouncing that because the Hawaii person in me wants to pronounce that name differently. But this is Steve Alaimo in the album Sings and Swings. Steve Alaimo Sings and Swings. If you're from Hawaii or if you speak Hawaiian or whatever, you would want to say Alaimo. It seems so wrong to say Alaimo, but that's how they pronounced it. It's an Italian name. That's how he pronounced it anyway, Steve Alaimo. But I want to say Steve Alaimo. Sings and Swings. ABC Paramount Records from 1966, this record is from. And he was kind of a teen idol, really. And I can see why. I mean, what a good looking guy. Great pictures of him here. And I would say definitely like part of the album is much more like teen oriented. And yet there are many tracks on here that would appeal to a more easy listening or an older crowd as well. So there was a little bit of both. He was born in Omaha, but brought up in Rochester, New York. Started out as a teen idol. He did 7 studio albums. He had 9 songs that made the Hot 100, but he never had a #1 song in on any chart. So had kind of a decent career. What he really was known for was hosting a Dick Clark show. He hosted and co-produced it. He was picked up by Dick Clark. Called Where the Action Is in the latter part of the 60s, popular television show. So he's, I guess, is better known for that. Really, I mean, known for singing, but probably best known to people alive at the time for being the host of Where the Action Is, which was a popular show. Now, I enjoyed this album. Like I said, some of it, later on, I should say, he did gradually leave singing and recording himself and ended up being a record producer himself and helping to run his own record label, or kind of a co-produced record label. So he got kind of on the other side of the microphone as time went on. But I enjoyed this record. Like I said, some of it, there are certain tracks where I was kind of like, okay, this is, a little teeny bopperish. But other tracks were, yeah, he has a nice voice, and I really did like the songs. I particularly loved the song Once a Day, really pretty. But yeah, and again.
But time has taken all the pain away. Until now I'm down to hurting once a day. Once a day, all day long, and once a night, from dusk to dawn.
Nice looking guy, Steve Alaimo. Okay, up next. Now here's an artist. I don't really have too much to say about them because I don't know that much, and I can't find a lot. I think I did find him on Facebook. I think it was actually him, but I'm not 100% sure. This album is called Beethoven Bittersweet. The artist is Benninghoff, or T.J. Benninghoff. Now, he plays piano, organ, and something called the roxachord. Roxachord. I don't know if that's just, a funny name for a harpsichord or whatever, but he plays those instruments on this album. What is this album? It's from 1976, and he is taking classical, well, there are a couple of original compositions on here, which are sort of in a classical style. And then he's taking classical works and redoing them, messing around with them as sort of rock-ish instrumentals, but they also are a little bit popish to me, or a little bit, some of them almost seem like something that would have been part of a television promo show or something. I mean, or a commercial or whatever. They have a certain quality to them that even when there were certain parts of this that were too rockish, too much in the rock, that I wouldn't put it on an easy listening station. But then there were other parts that I definitely would and did. He takes, he's got the Boogie Bayou Revival parts 1, 2, and 3, adopted from Beethoven's 6th Symphony. So they're all the erotica, etc., they're adoptions. Now, interestingly, it also came with a free bonus single. It was still on the shrink wrap when I got it at the thrift store, of Beethoven, they call it Beethoven Bittersweet, which does not actually exist on this record, because what this single is a mashup that sounds cohesive. It's done as one piece, but it's a mashup of different parts of this recording, down to I think it's a 3-minute or something edit. $2.45. And it's kind of cute also. I put it on the Moody Mood Music. It definitely fits. And then the flip side of it are some selections from the other releases on this particular label, which is SSS Sound International Records. Did I say it was from 1976? Anyway, yeah. That's all I can tell you. I can't really tell you anything about the artist. Like I said, the only thing I could find is what I think is his actual Facebook page. I think he's still kicking around. But that's it. Recorded in Florida. Beethoven Bittersweet. Now, next artist. This is an instrumental LP. You may have seen some of these records if you're looking around dollar bins and thrift stores and whatnot. Carmen Dragon is the artist, who is an orchestra conductor conducting the Capitol Symphony Orchestra. Full dimensional stereo, Capitol Records from 1961. This is called Over the Waves. Now, Carmen Dragon was a Californian by birth, composer, conductor, arranger, also did actual performances with orchestras, recording, did several television and film soundtracks. This is him right here. He passed away in 1984 of cancer at the age of 69, but had quite a long career doing records, film soundtracks. He performed on something I'm not familiar with called the Standard School Broadcast, which was a radio program that was created and geared to elementary school students, that ran from the 1920s through the 1970s. and it was a high quality introduction to classical music for elementary school age children. I've never heard it, I don't know. But he worked that for so many years, all those years. He was eventually, amongst other things, became a conductor with the Capitol Symphony Orchestra, and that's where he really picks up for our concerns here, is that he recorded many albums with the Hollywood Symphony Orchestra, this one being Over the Waves, and most of them were thematic. I do have some other ones. I have, I don't remember the exact title, but it's an Italian themed with all Italian classical. This is all classical, semi-classical stuff, so with Italian classical and semi-classical themes. A wonderful album that I love that I have called Oriental, which is all sort of Asian exotic themed pieces. Really, that's a nice record. I think he did a gypsy one. There's a whole bunch of them that have themes. This one is Over the Waves, which is obviously a nautically themed album. So we have, Rural Britannia and Columbia Gem of the Ocean, but really nice, some nice other selections like Claude Debussy's Un Bateau, Petite Suite. I love Debussy, and yeah, I like his stuff. It's a really nice piece I had not heard before on here. Blow the Man Down, he does a version of. So it's kind of an amusing album, but quality stuff, and all classical, semi-classical types of pieces. Over the Waves, we like it, we enjoyed it. It's up on Moody Mood Music if you'd like to hear selections from it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are very pleased to announce that Moody Mood Music is a great lover of fine quality music, because not only will you hear the cheap and tawdry music from dance halls and the swarmy singing of cigarette-smoking, martini-sipping lounge singers, but you shall also hear fine classical and semi-classical selections from the greatest composers of all time. Yes, Moody Mood Music appeals to all, high and lowbrow. We invite you, our select audience, to enjoy Moody Mood Music on live365.com. The link can be found in the description below. Please enjoy our program.
Up next, we have an artist you're probably somewhat familiar with anyway, at least one of her songs, I think, and that would be Nancy Sinatra. This album here is called Movin' with Nancy, and this is from the soundtrack, basically, from her television special, Movin' with Nancy, that featured not only her, but Dean Martin, Lee Hazelwood, and it says, and a very close relative. Can you guess who that was? Yeah, well, her father, right? Frank Sinatra. This is the daughter of Frank Sinatra, the eldest daughter of Frank Sinatra.
This town is a make-you town, or a break-you town and bring you downtown.
And she herself kind of went into the singing industry in the early 60s and had actually some success in Europe and in Japan, but not in the United States. Nothing had caught on in the United States. So she was having some success overseas. And what happened is that she teamed up with Lee Hazelwood, who is on this record, who is a singer in his own right, but also a songwriter, a producer, and arranger. So he had his hands in many areas. And he kind of took her under, really saw the potential in her and took her under his wing. And he kind of molded her to the image that we're more familiar with here. which is that he had her bleach her hair blonde, wear very heavy eye makeup on all of her photographs and appearances, and frosted lips was something he thought was very important for her to have. He really created a look, right, for her. And also pulled her voice down a bit. He said, he was said to her, this is a quote, I love this quote, you can't sing like Nancy Nice Lady anymore. You have to sing for the truckers. So he actually started picking out and writing songs for her and having her sing everything in a lower key than what she had been doing to bring her voice down. They recorded an album. They recorded the song These Boots Are Made for Walking, which, as you know, became a smash worldwide, such a huge hit. People today know that song, definitely. And that was the beginning for her in the States. And she continued down that path for many years with many albums, many chart singles on both the pop charts and the adult contemporary charts, because she always maintained an appeal not only to the younger crowd, but also the adult crowd. The truckers really liked her as well. I like Nancy Sinatra a lot, I do. Then about the mid-70s, she kind of like backed up from recording and performing and everything as much, but she had done a lot of records, a lot of television appearances on different shows. She had a special herself, which this was the soundtrack to, Movin' with Nancy. She also did some acting. She was in a few films, kind of beach blanket bingo kind of movies, obviously for obvious reasons. And yeah, then she kind of eased up in the 70s. I guess she did record something even as late as like 2006, although I think it's a download only record. So basically mid-70s we're talking. This album, I enjoyed this record a lot. I do like Nancy Sinatra. And of course this features her father doing a really nice version of Younger Than Springtime. There's a couple of duets with Lee Hazelwood on here that are nice. Also a song with Dean Martin I really like called Things that they did together. So she kind of rides a fine line with me sometimes, which is fine. I mean, it's okay. But like she rides that line of sometimes being what we would, I guess nowadays, really consider lounge / easy listening. And then there are times when she gets a little bit more like groovy enough to actually be kind of pop rockish rather than an imitation of it, if you know what I mean. So she does a little bit of both on this album as well. So obviously not everything is going up to moody mood music, but several of these tracks did. And we love Nancy Sinatra. She's beautiful, beautiful. Now finally today, interesting, posing a question here. So this is a box set, smaller box set, 3 records from Columbia Musical Treasury, called Terry, the Best of 71, the Best of 1971, featuring Terry Baxter and his orchestra. This would not have been sold because this is a Columbia Musical Treasury, also Columbia House label. If I'm understanding this correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, anything that's a Columbia Musical Treasury or Columbia House would not have been just sold in record stores like regular records. These would have been available in their music club or subscription service or tape club or whatever they were doing at the time. So these are all pop songs. This set, by the way, 3 records here. Table of contents. And this, these are a little bit, the records are in fine shape. You can see the age on the sleeves here. And it's kind of cute because this one actually had still in it this little sticker here that says 7885 collator. If in error, please return to factory with this number. I'm not sure, like, what you would do. Like, what does that mean? If you have the wrong records in here, it would be a big deal. But if they, like, weren't in order, like you opened it up and it was record 3 was on top, you'd be, oh my God, we have to take it to the factory right now, and we have to talk to 7885 Collator because they put it in the wrong order. We need it replaced.
Baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile, girl. Oh, baby, it's a wild world. I'll always remember you like a child, girl.
So these are just a combination of instrumentals and vocals of pop songs in 1971. He did several sets. I mean, he did like before 71, there's a few sets, and there's a few sets after 1971, and they're all the best of whatever year. He did some other things too, but everything that he did, interestingly, was either on a Columbia Musical Treasury or the Columbia House label. There's a little thing there, Columbia House. And it has become a subject recently on a couple of different Facebook pages, music ones that are deal with easy listening music and box sets and stuff. That the question has come up recently, like, who exactly was Terry Baxter? Because we can't find any information about him, which is true. I hadn't really thought about it, but then when it was brought up, I'm like, yeah, I've seen these sets and whatever, and I never recall seeing Terry Baxter on any normal records that were sold like in a record store, like you would see, Henry Mancini and Andre Castellanes and Percy Faith and all of them. But I don't ever recall seeing like a Terry Baxter and his orchestra album that wasn't a Columbia Musical Treasury or Columbia House special label. And several of us kind of started snooping around and looking and discovering that there really was no information to be had on Terry Baxter. Like, you couldn't really find anything else he did other than these records. I think there was one where he was listed as an arranger, but otherwise, like, normally these artists, you look them up and you'll find tons of information about them. Even not very well known musical artists, you'll be able just Googling, searching and whatever to find information on other projects that they've done, or Wikipedia articles about them, or different bios, whatever, in different places about different projects they've done and what they were involved in and whatever. You can't find anything on Terry Baxter. I can't find anything other than none of us can find anything other than listings of the recordings that he did for Columbia House, Columbia Musical Treasuries. We can't find anything about him. So we're wondering, like, is this even a real person? Is it one of those? I know the budget labels did this. The major labels didn't do this very much, but unless they had a reason to. Like, is Terry Baxter actually a real person? Was there really a Terry Baxter? Or is the, conductor actually somebody that they couldn't use their name for contractual reasons? They're under contract with another label and they could do work on the side, but they couldn't use their name. So they had to use a made up name. So, is it, I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying, is it like whoever, I don't know, Percy Faith or Andre Castellanes or somebody else conducting under another name? I don't know. And we're very curious to find out. So I'm curious if any of you out there, because I know there are people that watch these videos that have a great deal of knowledge about some of these easy listening artists. If you know anything about a Terry Baxter, do you know anybody that knew him? Do you know anybody that other things he's done other than conducting these mysterious, record sets? Is there really a Terry Baxter, or is it, do you think, a pseudonym for someone else who couldn't use their name? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just kind of curious if anybody knows anything. Yeah, that's it. That's it for this edition. Thanks for watching if you made it all the way through, and I appreciate it. Please leave any comments or ideas or thoughts or whatever down below in the comments section. Have a good week, you guys. Take care. I know the rising cases across the country here in Hawaii, cases are going through the roof, and it's a little bit bizarre. So I hope everybody just does whatever they need to do to stay safe, and we will see you in the next video. Take care, you guys.